welcome everyone to Season 2 of the 4 True Crime Idiots podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Ruben.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Michelle, and we're the hosts of the 4 True Crime Idiots podcast.
Welcome back, guys.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
We made it to Season 2.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We have some interesting cases in the season. Today we'll be covering Samuel Little, one of America's most prolific serial killers.
So he killed 93 people.
93. Wow.
How many was he convicted of?
Not that many, right?
So he claimed that he killed 93, but he wasn't.
This Michelle wasn't dead. He was stupid again.
No, I read that 60-something were confirmed, but he was only convicted for so many of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
Welcome to the 4 True Crime Idiots podcast, Idiot Criminals Club. And here is today's Idiot Criminal Club inductee.
Police imposter pulled over a van full of police detectives in New York. And this is from August 20th, 2019, by the POL staff from PoliceMag.com. A New York man was arrested Friday after he allegedly tried to pull over a van full of police detectives. According to Fox News, the man identified as 25-year-old Valerie Portlock reportedly activated emergency lights and sounded an air horn as he attempted to pull the van over in the Long Island town of Hicksville. When the occupants of the van, members of the Nassau County Police Department's electronic squad, identified themselves, Portlock reportedly fled the scene. He was later arrested by Highway Patrol and charged with criminal impersonation, reckless endangerment, and fleeing the police. That's bad luck.
What are the chances of that, please?
I know.
Very bad luck.
Dumbass.
Yeah, there it was.
Are they air horns?
I didn't know they still use that.
And then they stopped. If someone drew an air horn at you, would you guys stop your vehicle?
Well, if I was a cop, yes. Arrest the guy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, true.
Pretty embarrassing.
Let's get on to the main case now. The case of Samuel Little.
Samuel Little was an American serial killer who confessed to murdering 93 people. All were women. The FBI's VICAP, which stands for Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, has confirmed Little's involvement in at least 60 of the 93 confessed murders, the largest number of cases for any serial killer in United States history.
So he said he killed 93 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
60 are confirmed, yeah.
That's still a lot.
Yeah.
That's still a lot.
That's still a lot.
Where did he keep him?
I think he would just get rid of him, right?
He would just toss him. He would toss him. He
was all over the place.
He would just leave him wherever?
He was a drifter.
Oh, I see.
Different states.
He would just get him wherever. Like, he wouldn't, lure him, right, to, wooded areas. So it was just, if you ran into them at the, at the store or they're at the house or whatever.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
That's crazy, yeah. Let's talk about his early life.
Samuel Little was born June 7, 1940, in Reynolds, Georgia, to a mother who claimed was a prostitute. Soon after his birth, Little's family moved to Lorain, Ohio, where he was brought up mainly by his grandmother. He attended Hawthorne Junior High School, where he had problems with discipline and achievement. By his own account, he began having sexual fantasies about strangling women as a child, starting when he saw his kindergarten teacher touch her neck. As a teenager, he collected true crime magazines depicting women being choked.
As far as young as him being in kindergarten when it happened, that's crazy.
That's weird.
BTK looked at those magazines, right? The true crime magazines.
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Who else? Ted Bundy?
Have you all seen the Clover Hitch?
Killer or no?
The Clover Hitch? Is it the Clover Hitch killer? Right?
I think I have, yeah.
Is that supposed to be loosely based on the BTK killing?
Kinda, I guess.
Because they kind of depicted a little bit. You know how they were saying that he would dress himself up in women's clothing and take pictures of himself hanging or whatever in women's clothing?
I think so.
Right? Yeah, that's right. In this movie, there's a scene where the guy did that. He was in, I think he was in the process. I think his family had gone out of town. And so he was already getting that itch to start killing again. And when they were out of town, they showed a scene where he was on his wife's heels and her pantyhose, and he had a wig on, and he had a noose hanging. And I'm like, what is this guy gonna do?
Yeah.
But he couldn't. I don't know what happened. I think he got interrupted and he got off the stuff.
His stuff?
Yeah. It was a good movie, though. Y'all should watch it.
Yep.
Cloverfield?
Yeah,
Oh, no, Cloverfield. The Cloverfield. See, I get that with Cloverfield all mixed up. The Cloverfield Killer.
Yeah, that's a good scary. That's a good monster movie.
It is. I don't know about part 2, but I like the first one.
You like the second one?
Nah, not really.
Come on, man.
I like the first one. I don't know why. But see, it's so weird though because like you asked me out of all the Rocky ones, Rocky 4 is my favorite.
The Russian?
I never really liked. Yeah.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that one was like better than the first one? Which one do you
To
think
be
out of
honest,
those? Yeah.
I didn't care for the first.
Me neither, right? Okay, I don't feel bad.
Oh, wow. We are
I know. I never really cared for it. Like I would watch it, but just so you know, I'm like, I don't know.
He lost.
You know that not because he lost though, because he was really like whining with Mikey or Mickey because he didn't want to train him.
Rocky Bubble was a whining pitch. Okay. Let's get back to the case.
In 1956, after being convicted of breaking and entering into property in Omaha, Nebraska, Little was held in an institution for juvenile offenders. Little moved to Florida to live with his mother in the late 1960s, working at various times as a cemetery worker and ambulance attendant, by his own account.
I wonder what cemetery workers do.
What would he do there?
Yeah, I don't know. What do they do?
I think though they just pretty much just do like the yard work and make sure like the headstones are clean and stuff like that.
Yeah, so.
Right? And just kind of when they're not really
Maintain.
security, maintain. Yeah.
Their parents.
Yeah.
Would you ever do a cemetery work?
Nope.
No way. Well,
I think I would.
Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if all you're doing is going to be outside watering and just, making sure the grass is good.
And their ghost shouldn't be in the cemetery, right? Because they really didn't die there at the cemetery.
I mean, that's true.
Right?
Because
Oh, yeah, that's true.
they always say your spirit hunts where you
were.
Unless your spirit wanders and it just goes where you're thought of.
You wander to the cemetery?
That's your home, bud. No. Right?
Maybe.
Well, because with the white, I mean, you bring up a good point because then there's no reason to be scared.
Yeah. Let me know if I'm wrong, people or listeners.
Why would you do a night shift though? That's a good question.
I don't do night shift.
Yeah, no.
Would you do a night shift? Do they say like you don't need to just just make sure no one's breaking in and everything?
Maybe. Depending. I don't know.
That'll probably be the most spookiest time to do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It'd be the most fun time too.
Until you see something.
Until you see something.
Which you won't because there's no ghosts in cemeteries.
I carry a rifle.
Yeah, shoot the ghost.
I'll carry the salt and put it around me. Like that, and you'll be fine.
So he was already a troubled kid.
Starting all the way from kindergarten.
It's pretty early.
Yeah.
And it seems like they all look at those detective magazines, true detective magazines, and serial killers. I think BTK looked at them.
Yeah. Well, like you said.
Yeah.
Did you ever read them?
Nope.
What?
Those detective magazines?
Oh, no.
Well, I might start. I might start to read it.
He said he then began traveling more widely and had more run-ins with the law, being arrested in 8 states for crimes that included driving under the influence, fraud, shoplifting, solicitation, armed robbery, aggravated assault, and rape.
How old was he here?
I don't know what you're saying. Okay.
20s?
Really a hard question? Michelle's here.
Late 20s?
Sorry.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably late 20s.
Wow.
Maybe early 20s.
So he started in his late 20s then? Or did he start earlier than that?
We don't know. Probably earlier.
Earlier than that?
Killing?
Yeah, his killings.
Oh, killing. I don't know.
Because he already did the rape right here.
Yeah.
So that's in his late 20s, but...
Wait, how do we know how old he was?
Well, he was born in 1940. And then by the 1960s, it says... In 1956... In 1956, he was already being convicted of breaking and entering, and that's
16.
16. So
he was somewhere in his 20s when he started it.
Yeah.
Little claimed that he took up boxing during his time in prison, referring to himself as a former prize fighter.
So he was lying about him being a prize fighter?
I don't know.
Or was he actually a good boxer?
I never heard of him.
Yeah.
I never heard of him either, but I guess he was saying that... In prison, he was going around saying, I think he was in prison saying he was a former prize fighter.
Yeah, in prison.
Because he took it up It says there that he took up boxing during his prison time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can't win prizes in prison.
No, but he was saying that he was
I won a title.
the belt.
But why wouldn't you come out and pursue that if you're so good?
True.
Right?
Reputation. He wanted a reputation in prison, I guess.
So he's a heathen sinner.
Yes. Now let's talk about his crimes.
In 1961, Little was sentenced to 3 years in prison for breaking into a furniture store in Lorraine. He was released in 1964. By 1975, he had been arrested 26 times in 11 states for crimes including theft, assault, attempted rape, fraud, and attacks on government officials.
26 times in 11 states? This guy was everywhere.
Yep.
And how long did they keep him each time he was arrested, though? Obviously not long enough. He was doing it.
Seems like the crime that's going on today.
Yeah, man.
Like what?
Like the criminals, they don't go to jail very long.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, if they go to jail.
Or they do that whole when they're on bail where they're out and about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean, attacks on government officials?
Probably police or.
Where did you say that?
Maybe in.
Maybe when they were gonna.
Maybe like a resistant arrest.
Yeah, maybe when they were arresting him, he was fighting them off.
I like pictured him attacking like a mayor or something. City council.
Maybe. It doesn't say resistant arrest.
Yeah, but maybe it is the officers.
Prison officers, guards.
Yeah.
Or maybe when he was in prison, attacking the guards.
I wonder if he was in solitaire a lot. Do you still have that?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Going down the whole bloody slap the guard.
Beat the shit out of him.
Yes.
In 1982, Little was arrested in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and charged with the murder of 22-year-old Melinda Rose LePray, who had gone missing in September of that year. A grand jury declined to indict him for her murder.
Were these random ladies, or were they like street workers, or he was just randomly just putting her on? Like, did he have like a type?
Balls?
Yeah?
Wait, are you asking off the record or for the podcast?
Either one.
Oh.
I mean, that's fine. But it's just because usually some of them usually have a type, right?
Yeah. Like the universe that we go after.
The street
Sex
workers,
workers, right?
yeah. And then Ted Bundy was just going after whoever would go out with him, right?
Say hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Looked at him.
You're dead.
I think most were sex workers.
Sex workers, right?
I think.
I wonder why they didn't indict him.
Not enough evidence, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why wouldn't you?
Well, that's my thing. Like, he kept getting arrested and getting put in jail, but they kept letting him out. So.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense.
And then he kept going back, doing the same thing over and for the same thing. So at what point does the judge decide to be like, okay, you're going to have to stay in here longer than just a couple of months because you just keep repeating yourself. And that's kind of sad because if they had one of them could have done that, pretty sure half of these victims would still be here.
Yep.
Well, it was in different states, so maybe the judges didn't
always
know.
I keep forgetting he was going from state to state to state. He was just like,
that's true.
He was kind of smart then, huh?
However, while under investigation, Little was extradited to Florida and tried for the murder of 26-year-old Patricia Ann Mount, whose body was found in September 1982. Prosecution witnesses identified Little in court as a person who spent time with Mount on the night before her disappearance. Due to mistrust of witness testimony, she was acquitted in January 1984.
What does that mean?
Does that mean that the witness, when he testified, he
the witness?
He put false claims?
Yes.
And so he had to. So because of that, he was acquitted. They couldn't.
Yeah.
So they couldn't do it, even if it was true, and somehow that witness
messed it up. Yeah.
And he was out, and then
talk about lucky.
Bad witnesses. Little moved to California, where he stayed in the vicinity of San Diego. In October 1984, he was arrested for kidnapping, beating, and strangling 22-year-old Laurie Barrows, who survived. 1 month later, he was found by police in the backseat of his car with an unconscious woman, also beaten and strangled, in the same location as the attempted murder was of Barrows. Little served 2.5 years in prison for both crimes.
So he served 2.5 years?
Yeah.
For both of those crimes?
Yeah.
All right. The one that was a month later, after Laurie Barrows, was she dead or she was alive? Because she was beaten and strangled.
She
She was unconscious.
She was unconscious.
She survived.
She survived. So that's why his time wasn't so severe.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, what did he kill? Oh my god! And he was like all
For
unconscious.
attempted murder, though, for
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Well, either way,
Seems lenient.
Yeah.
you would think he would get like
more
10 for attempted, 20,
That would be 5 or 10.
10 for 5 years for each. I don't know how it works.
Me neither. But I would think you would get more than 2.
More than 2 years.
Yeah.
Upon his release in February 1987, he immediately moved to Los Angeles and committed at least 10 additional murders.
So he killed 10 more people after that?
Yeah.
I don't know why they keep on releasing this guy.
So when he was released in 87 and he killed those additional 10 more murders, he was never caught for those until like later?
I believe so.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Ooh, you got away with it?
Let's move on to his arrest now.
Little was arrested on September 5th, 2012 at a homeless shelter in Louisville, Kentucky, and extradited to California to face a narcotics charge, after which authorities used DNA testing to establish that he was involved in the murders of Carol Eileen Ilford, killed on July 13, 1987, Apodaca, killed on September 3rd, 1987, and Audrey Nelson Everett, killed on August 14, 1989. All 3 women were killed and later found on the streets of Los Angeles.
So this is probably,
After he got out of prison.
again, people, why were they releasing him?
So this was, were those 3 part of the 10 additional murders?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah. He was extradited to Los Angeles, where he was charged on January 7, 2013. A few months later, the police said that Little was being investigated for involvement in 3 dozen murders committed in the 1980s, which until then had been undisclosed. In connection with the new circumstances in Mississippi, the La Prairie murder case was reopened. In total, Little was tested for involvement in 93 murders of women committed in many U.S. states.
So he was tested for them.
Yes.
What does that mean? He was tested for them.
I have no idea.
This is probably
Like,
DNA.
Probably like DNA.
Yeah,
And they probably found
like 60 of them.
60 of them out of the 93. And I'm wondering if the rest of it, maybe it was because it got washed away or something.
Jurisdiction, knowing you.
No, true.
You know,
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because he was able to slip by too, right?
Yeah.
Without him being arrested, obviously,
Yeah.
for him.
Those are old cases.
This guy was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Psychopath.
Now we'll talk about his trial and his incarceration.
Little was tried for the murders of Ilford, Nelson, and Apodaca on September 2014. The prosecution presented the DNA evidence as well as testimony of witnesses who were attacked by the accused at different times throughout his criminal career.
Okay, so what happened? They
presented DNA evidence
and witnesses,
and
right?
witnesses, were attacked. Surviving witnesses.
So that's how they.
Well, yeah, of course, survivors. How else would they be witnesses?
Oh my God.
Well, one time there was a ghost witness. Okay, then.
That what?
One time there was a ghost witness. I think I heard about that once.
Oh, really?
How did that happen?
So it was on one of the YouTube channels.
Really?
What?
How did that work?
I don't know. There was a ghost. Was like a witness.
How did they do that
Oh,
though?
it was like back in like the 1800s or 1700s.
Oh, it was like way back in the
Way
day.
back in the day.
They got the
Yeah.
town psychic.
Bullshit.
The town psychic to come and speak for them. It came through there probably. They probably had to see her there. Have you seen those old photos? And they have the seers and they have their mouth open, the ectoplasm's coming out of their mouth, and it's like taking like an 1869. I'm like, wow.
No, because I don't know what you look up.
Ghost stuff. That's what I looked up of them.
Weird.
Oh, whatever. You're into it too. No, try to
She got you
deny
there.
it.
Shut up,
Don't
Ben.
deny it.
No.
Stay quiet, Ben.
Right, Ben? He's into the ghost stuff too.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to just shenanigans.
I'm going to look that up.
On September 25th, 2014, Little was found guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment without possibility of parole. On the day of the verdict, Little continued to insist his innocence. He was still saying he was innocent.
What happened?
So he was still, Michael said he was still saying he was innocent.
He was innocent from those murders?
He was claiming to be.
from everywhere, I think.
Even
After
the attempted one?
DNA evidence and all.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Especially that
yeah.
time that they found him with the unconscious woman in the back of his car all beaten and stuff. But he didn't do it. He just found her.
Yeah. She walked into his
She
car.
walked to her car. He walked to his car and she was there all beaten and unconscious.
Before his death, Little was serving a sentence at the California State Prison in Los Angeles County.
Okay, so he's saying he's innocent. He said he was innocent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's
But I guess he confessed later on.
Yeah.
That's what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, so that makes sense. He's innocent, but later on he's going to confess.
It's probably when they found DNA is probably how he confessed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
Maybe like he was all like, no, I didn't do any of that shit. And they're like, no, dude, we found the evidence. And then, but then again, you think he would just be like, all right, I only did like that much. But he goes and he confesses to like, I don't know how many more.
All right.
Like, who knows?
Now we're going to get into his later confessions. What does that mean, later confessions?
I guess maybe when they already said that they have DNA to prove that he did those to the women that they found,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe like he was just kind of like, oh, okay,
Maybe I had more.
I did.
There's
more.
no point.
Yeah, there's no point in denying it. Well, now I did more than that. But it wasn't it like that with the Green River Killer when he was like denying that he didn't do anything, and then
Yeah.
and then they were like, well, we have evidence that you did it for at least this many women, and then he's like,
Okay, you got me.
you didn't even let me finish my story. You like interrupted me.
What? No, it's saying.
That's lame.
Never mind. I wasn't doing it on purpose.
I know, but like you saw
Or
my
was
point though.
Yeah.
I know. Because we didn't believe him about the false witness. So he believes.
Watch it. Watch it right now. Now let's talk about his later confessions.
On November 9th, 2018, Little confessed to the 1996 fatal strangulation of Melissa Thomas. On November 13th, 2018, Little was charged with the 1994 murder of the Denise Christie brothers in Odessa, Texas, after having confessed the crime to a Texas Ranger in May 2018. Little pleaded guilty to the murder of brothers on December 13th and received another life sentence. The Ector County District Attorney and Wise County, Texas Sheriff's Office announced on November 13th that Little had confessed to dozens of murders and may have committed more than 90 across 14 states between 1970 and 2005.
And they caught him in what year?
13? No, 12. 2012.
2012.
Yeah, he was
40
he
years?
was very active.
Was any of those murders, did they ever cross interference with any of the other murders, serial killers murders?
Probably.
You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Or maybe he was everywhere.
He was everywhere, right?
You know?
Yeah.
It seemed like he was in the United States.
Could have crossed paths with other guys, other people, serial killers.
That would be weird, right? If he and another one
That's shocking.
was like at the same time in the same city, at the same time killing somebody, and they were both getting charged for each other's crimes. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, what if one of Ted Bundy's victims wasn't really his victims, but it turned out to be this guy's over here,
I wonder if that's ever happened.
right?
Yeah.
But like, how do they determine on which state he's going to be charged in if he's going to different? Is it the where he killed the most?
I'm not sure how they decided that part. Interesting. That's an interesting. Good question.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
On November 15th, 2018, the Russell County, Alabama District Attorney announced that Little had earlier that month confessed to the 1979 murder of 23-year-old Brenda Alexander, whose body was found in Phoenix City, Alabama. On November 16th, 2018, Macomb County, Georgia Sheriff's announced that Little had credibly confessed to the 1977 strangling murder of an unidentified woman and the 1982 strangling murder of an 18-year-old Fredonia Smith. In the fall of 2018, Little confessed to the 1982 murder of 55-year-old Dorothy Richards and the 1996 murder of 40-year-old Daisy McGuire. Both of their bodies were found in Houma, Louisiana. On November 19, 2018, Harrison County, Mississippi Sheriff Troy Peterson said that Little had confessed to strangling 36-year-old Julia Critchfield in the Gulfport area in 1978 and dumping her body off a cliff.
So where was the cliff?
It says the Gulfport area.
Let me know if you're from Mississippi. You all have cliffs?
So were these like sex workers?
I don't know.
Because they never really talked about like their family like reporting them missing or
Right.
nothing like that, right?
Maybe, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Well, I mean, age wasn't a...
He didn't care how old you were.
Yeah, he didn't care about the age. I'm just trying to figure out what his
type
was.
Probably didn't have one.
Right?
His thing was just strangulation.
On November 20th, 2018, Lee County, Mississippi law enforcement officials announced that Little had admitted to killing 46-year-old Nancy Carol Stevens in Tupelo, Mississippi in 2005, and that the case would be presented to a grand jury in January 2019. On November 21st, 2018, Richland County, South Carolina authorities announced that Little had confessed to murdering 19-year-old Evelyn Whiston, whose body was found near Fort Jackson, South Carolina in 1978. Little confessed to having killed 20-year-old Rosie Hill in Marion County, Florida in 1982. On November 27, 2018, the Federal Bureau of Investigation announced that a violent criminal apprehension program team had confirmed 34 of Little's confessions, and was working to match the remainder of Little's confessions to known murders or suspicious deaths.
So how many did he kill in each city that he was in? Did they ever say like how long he was in each city?
No.
Because it just seems like he did what he did, and then he was in jail, and then when he got out, he was like later, so he went to the next one.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's until he got caught.
Yeah, this guy was just crazy.
Would you like from what we're hearing so far would say he was a little bit worse than Bundy and the Green River Killer and BTK?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe even Gacy?
Yeah.
How many did Gacy kill?
33.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, this guy's worse.
It gets worse?
No, this guy's worse.
Oh. It gets worse? Wow. Even the Green River Killer? Because the Green River killed how many? Only about 80.
70-something, no.
Was it like 80-something, right? But he only was tried for 40?
Oh, man. Go ahead and ask that question.
I forgot.
We covered that.
Oh, we did. Oh, shit. Hey, it was a while back. We're allowed to forget.
Yeah, we're season 2.
We're season 2. Go back to our files. I'm sorry. How many
Was it like 80?
I had questioned it was like 80 that he was tried for, but only like half of that.
He confessed, like he said he killed like over 80.
Over 80.
Yeah. I think
so. He was like maybe not in competition, but like he's up there with this guy.
Yeah.
So it'll be like maybe like this guy will be number one for the sadistic.
Yeah.
Sadistic killings. Or not sadistic. It's not real,
Are you saying sadistic or sadistic?
Sadistic. Yeah.
Just what I say. I'm hearing numbers and you're saying.
No, but so you would say that he was the worst one?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
And it took him this long to get him.
DNA.
Yep.
Little began making the confessions in exchange for a transfer out of the Los Angeles County prison in which he was being held. One included his confession to a previous cold case homicide in Prince George's County, Maryland. Previously one of 2 homicide cases in that county with unidentified victims.
So he would like bargain?
He would bargain. When he would get arrested, he would bargain?
Not bargain, but to get out of it, never mind.
No, I know what you mean. Like when they're trying to get him to confess, he'll be like, I'll confess to you this, and you do this.
Yeah. Was that what he was doing? Is that what I understood?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He wanted to get transferred.
Oh, he didn't want to be. I wonder if they were giving him a hard time.
I should know. I should listen to them.
In December 2018, Little was indicted for strangling 23-year-old Linda Sue Borst in May 1981 in Warren County, Kentucky. Her body was found on May 15, 1981, near U.S. Route 68.
It took him that long to indict him? Wow.
One of Little's victims was identified in December 2018 as Martha Cunningham, of Knox County, Tennessee, who was 34 years old when Little murdered her in 1975. On May 31, 2019, Cuyahoga County, Ohio prosecutors announced indictments with 4 counts of aggravated murder and 6 counts of kidnapping that accused Little of killing Mary Jo Payton in 1984 and Rose Evans in 1991 in Cleveland. Both victims were strangled and dumped. The body of Rose Evans, 32, was found on August 24, 1991 in a vacant lot on East 39th Street. She left her hometown of Binghamton, New York when she was 17. Evans had been strangled, according to coroner Elizabeth K. Balraj.
Yeah, he was busy.
Yeah?
6'7" bitch.
Son of a bitch. Damn heathen sinner.
Yeah.
As for Peyton, an anthropologist had to create a model of what she looked like, but she remained unidentified until 1992, when Cleveland put her thumbprint in an FBI database and got a match. Little picked up Peyton at a bar near East 105th and Euclid Avenues. He described her as a short, plump woman in her 20s with brown hair. Little confessed to killing another Cleveland woman in 1977 or 1978. The woman murdered in 1977 or 1978 was found on March 18, 1983, in Willoughby Hills, Ohio, according to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, NamUs. She was likely black and somewhere between 17 and 35 years old. The woman's body had been dumped down a grassy slope near a fence in a wooded area just off Interstate 271. When her body was found by a man walking his dog, only her skeleton, some clothing, and jewelry remained.
Wow.
Little confessed to killing one woman in Akron, Ohio, two in Cincinnati. One of the bodies was dumped outside of Columbus, Ohio, and one woman he met in Columbus and disposed of in Kentucky. Of the two women Little murdered in Cincinnati, one was identified as Anna Stewart, 33, whose body was dumped in Grove City, Ohio. Stewart was last seen on October 6, 1981, getting out of a cab at General Hospital to see her sister in the hospital, now University of Cincinnati Academic Health Center. She was killed on October 11th.
Okay, so he was busy in Ohio too.
Yeah.
So he's been in Ohio, he's been in New York,
California.
Kentucky. Where was he born? Where was he born and raised again?
In Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
But in Georgia, he didn't do any killings. In Georgia, he was just robbing everybody
I think so.
and assaulting women. And then that's where he pretended to be a prize fighter in the prison over there. What he did prison in Georgia, or was that prison somewhere else when he pretended to be
in California?
So he's been in California,
Yeah.
Ohio, Kentucky. The killings, though, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones in New York.
I'm not. When in New York?
Was that in New York?
No.
No.
I think one of the victims was from New York.
Oh, okay.
He killed the other woman between 1980 and 1999. The Jane Doe was anywhere from 15 to 50, as the details of her age and the date of her murder are unclear. She was black, slender, wore glasses, and lived in the Over the Rhine neighborhood of Cincinnati with a heavy Hispanic female. Little left her beside a cigarette billboard in Ohio.
All these right now, he's describing all the murders that he did while he was in Ohio?
Did you so?
Yeah. On June 7th, 2019, Little was indicted in Hamilton County, Ohio, for murdering the two women killed in Cincinnati. Little had drawn portraits of many women he killed. These portraits were released by the FBI in hopes of someone identifying the women.
So they were kind of like, I guess what you would say, like what, runaways? And maybe they were, maybe not so much street workers, but maybe they were the type that were just like loners and just kind of to themselves a little bit. Because I had never once anyone said like, oh, well, their parents were looking for them, or a aunt reported them missing, or they were living with so-and-so and she didn't come home. Well, I mean, maybe their home life wasn't all that.
True.
And they had to go somewhere, but I mean, I know what you mean.
At least one portrait solved a cold case in Akron, Ohio. In November 2020, Little confessed to two Florida murders, for one which another man had been wrongfully convicted.
So they arrested the wrong man?
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if he was in the same prison as he was, you know what I'm trying to get at? Well, was the guy arrested before he got arrested? You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
So.
Well, apparently the other guy was arrested first.
Yeah, he was already convicted.
Yeah. I wonder if they let him go. No.
Yeah. They have to, unless he was dead.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
Yeah.
I would have asked to talk to him. Let me talk to Little for a little bit. You son of a bitch. But they never really say how long he was in each city, right?
Yeah, he's like maybe a few years.
Maybe like 2 tops, I would say, right?
Let's discuss the unmatched confessions now.
Okay, but what does that unmatched confession mean? Like,
I'm not sure. I guess like
they couldn't match him to the murder.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe?
Okay. So the victim said they're still trying to figure out if it was him or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Samuel Little claims to have strangled more than 93 people between 1970 and 2005, though many of his victims' deaths were first ruled as accidental or overdoses. Many of Little's victims' bodies were never found, and the confessions he provided along with a sketch could not be matched to a known missing person. Little's confessions may not be accurate, as at the time of his recorded confessions, which were 2019, nearly 40 years had passed since some of the murders.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that, like, yeah. like years go by, you know, you don't really
Can't remember someone's face.
yeah, or like it, you know, like it's not so much not only the face, but like what happened in between before he murdered her. You know what I'm trying to get at? Like little pieces, I guess, details here and there are mismatching, and I guess it needs to be like 100% accurate, right? Or at least 100% accurate for him to be convicted.
I think so.
Yeah.
And being a detective must be so hard having to deal with that, where they keep going back and forth, and they're just like,
tough job.
hey, you know what? I was watching SWAT murders because they have that on Tubi now, right? And a lot of those killings, they were like, and I don't get it. They were all tied down with cinder blocks.
What?
Yeah, like any victim that they found in the swamp, they were tied down with some kind of brick.
Yeah, so
He keeps them down.
He keeps them down in the water.
But they're already dead.
Well, yeah,
so they don't come up.
So they don't get caught.
Well, they did anyway.
Michelle would be a lousy criminal.
I would. I'm not gonna lie.
The first victim was Mary Ann from Miami, Florida, between 1971 or 1972. Little confessed to strangling an 18 or 19-year-old black transgender woman in 1971 or 1972 and leaving her body in the Everglades near Highway 27. Little remembered her name as Mary Ann or Mary Ann. She was between 5'6" and 5'7", weighing about 140 pounds. Little does not believe her body was ever found.
You're probably here in the swamp somewhere around there.
Yeah, alligators.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what he thought when he found out she was transgender.
It's probably what prompted him to... Well, you know what? Maybe he didn't know until afterwards.
All right.
And then he, you know...
Yeah.
Because you know what? And now that you brought that subject up, a friend of mine and I were discussing it, right? About how these transgenders, you don't really know that they're men, because some do their makeup really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he has an Adam's apple in him. You can tell. Because have you ever seen those TikTok videos too where they're like, I haven't told my man that I'm transgender or whatever? Or like on Facebook, I don't know whether it's always some kind of story. I don't know how to tell him my transgender. And she doesn't look like she's a man. She looks feminine. She looks very feminine. She, you know, makeup, all beautiful hair and face, and I wouldn't have guessed it.
Oh.
But that one could go back and forth because, like, what if he did confess to him that he was transgender and he got upset about it, and that's why he killed him? Her.
That's a possibility.
Right?
Yeah.
It's possible.
Maybe. The second victim was named Ruth from Little Rock, Arkansas, killed in 1992 or 1994. Little confessed to strangling a 24-year-old black female in 1992 or 1994. She was between 5'5" and 5'7", weighing about 200 pounds. Little recalled he stayed with her for about 3 days as they shoplifted together, and that her name may have been Ruth. Little was arrested for shoplifting from Kroger by the Little Rock police on April 20th, 1994. Little said that after killing her, he placed her body on a pile of branches near a cornfield.
I wonder where he killed her. She was like his shoplifting buddy.
Made him mad somehow.
Right?
Yeah. You never know.
Or he got the itch to kill again and she was just there.
Yeah, true. The next one was in Covington, Kentucky in 1984. Little confessed to strangling a 25-year-old white female outside of a strip club in 1984. Little remembers she had short blonde hair, blue eyes, and a hippie appearance. She was 5'6" to 5'7" and weighed between 130 and 170 pounds. He drove the woman south on Interstate 75 toward Miami, Florida, before driving into a hilly area near the highway. After killing her in the backseat of his car, he left her body on the top of a small hill.
So this was in Kentucky.
Yes.
So he drove her all the way to Miami.
Guess so.
Where was the last one?
Las Vegas, Nevada. Little confessed to strangling a thin black female around 40 years old in 1993. She was about 5'5" and weighed 110 to 120 pounds. Little recalls she may have worn a wig over her short hair. After killing her in a hotel room, Little drove her body to the outskirts of Las Vegas and rolled her body down a steep slope. Little says he does not believe her body was ever found. Little sketched all of the 4 victims mentioned during his confessions in 2019.
So all those 4, they weren't like connected to him.
I think, or they couldn't. Yeah, I think
they couldn't match him.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm wondering, well, I guess with those, he wasn't. They weren't able to get DNA from him.
Right.
Yeah, because I bet half of the DNA they probably got through under nails,
Yeah.
scratching, and then maybe from the rape kits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went up to the short.
Yeah, when, because that was the only one that discussed how tall they were, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so when I kept looking at it, and I was just like, wait a minute, they're all between 5'5" to 5'7".
So he had no age preference, but he would like them small.
Yeah,
Right.
she kind of overpowered.
Yeah.
Be kind of nice to know how tall the other ones were.
What do you think of Samuel Little?
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a monster.
Sadistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is he still alive?
No, he already died.
Oh, was it through natural causes, or did they
I
give him
think
the
so.
chair?
I think it was natural.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't do the death penalty anymore unless it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
And it's like necessary, or are they just going to stop doing that altogether?
No, some states do it still.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
they'll use
in California.
Oh, just some states they do it, and some states they don't.
They don't use a chair anymore, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
They
for the
can
gas
just-
chamber.
They
Well,
should
yeah, I
bring
knew
back
what I
the chair.
said. Well, some of them they should bring back a chair for some
Yes.
of them. Yes.
Like little.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Okay. Well, that was all for the first episode of season 2, guys.
It was a good one.
Yes.
Very interesting case. Hope you all enjoyed this episode of the 4 True Crime Idiots podcast. Please rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or wherever you may listen. Please follow us, the 4 True Crime Idiots podcast, on all of our social media platforms. All the links will be in the description. Until the next episode,
Stay vigilant.
Stay safe.
Beware of your surroundings.
Bye.
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 Bye.